prestigious Governor's Art Show in Loveland, which runs April 25th to June 6th. So congratulations, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. So, nice crowd. I think we've got 37, 38, which is one of the largest ones we've had for a long time, so yay. Which was funny because I printed 40 of these. I thought, oh, that's probably overkill, but yay. So, I got people from Fort Collins down. Hi, Diane. So this is nice. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to do a couple of kind of different things, not that different. I'm going to do a little demos here of just painting rocks and just showing that. And when we take a break, you're fine coming up here and kind of trying to do what I just showed you. So pick some pastels and just mark up this paper if you feel like it, okay? Because I want you to see this, I'll show it, but it's like, you know, it's one of those things, you can talk this, you can show it, but until you feel it, you don't get it, right? So if you want to come up and just do a couple of little strokes and stuff, and we'll do that. So this handout, the last page is really just a lot of information of some favorite artists I've got, some other information on edges. So that's just for your own fun entertainment some other time. You can read through all that stuff. As I go through some of this, I'll probably talk and then demo. So either that or I could just hand this and walk out right now. Sure, that'd be nice. What I like to do with handouts, though, is you know with most of these demos, what happens? They start and people go, what's that pastel you're using? What's the paper you're doing? La, 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 la. So this prevents any of you from asking me any questions. All right. I have students in the audience who are promising to heckle me. Okay, yeah, which along with some of you probably would too. So, but key takeaways, I kind of talk about strategy, and I really want to go through that because a lot of it hasn't done for a lot of you for some of these demos, so I like to kind of talk strategy a little bit. And then I'll go through edges, rocks. Oh, I think that's the main topics that we'll hit. Yeah. And then the artwork. Let me tell you about these guys. So the Governor's Art Show, and I was just at this opening thing they had last night for just introducing artists to each other. That was kind of nice. The gala is 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks from now, 24th, Friday the 24th. And this was nice catalog. I'm just gonna pass this around, you can just glance at it, and then I'd like to have it back though. But the art is I'm delivering 4 pieces to them next Wednesday. This one, not these. These are canvas prints I'll chat about in a second. But the reason I brought these canvas prints is, yeah, I don't want to bring those pieces in here today because they have to get delivered and I don't want any damage. So the original of this is that size, 36 by 24 with a 3-inch frame on it. So it's heavy and it is a big pastel. I frame with Passepartout with the glass right on top. So I don't do spacers anymore. I don't like spacers, it's my opinion. All my students know it's my opinion. But it works very well. And you can remove that glass. I have done it on big 32 by 40 paintings. They've been framed for 2 years and I've removed the glass and hardly any pastel comes off. So I really recommend framing that way. But anyhow, that was a big one to even try to bring. The original on this one is slightly smaller than this. It's a 14 by 17. So with these, I mentioned in here, this is from a company called Picturum. The prices on these are canvas wrapped. They give you options on their site on what you want on the edge, if you want the photo wrapped around, or if you want a color. I picked colors, which you can barely see. And then they're in floating frames, inexpensive. I think this was maybe 150 total.
With the frame?
With the frame.
Wow.
And that was maybe around 200, I can't quite recall. And these are for sale if anybody wants them. I will up that price a little bit because I had to put labor and crap into it. So if anybody is interested in purchasing either one, let me know.
Who are you using for the printing? Who are you using for the printing?
Say what?
Who are you using for the printing?
It's on here. Picture him. See, I told you, don't ask me. Anyhow, I stick my tongue out. Here's something I do. Right there in my demo. Anyhow, good company. They also do, I think they do about 4 types of things. They do metal, acrylic, and I think they do just clay types. Not as good as some real professional, printers, but still, I had a couple of the paper prints done. They were decent, and again, inexpensive. Wow. So if you were doing some maybe bin work for a show, you could put some of this stuff in for hardly anything. So anyhow, I was very impressed with them. How many people use FASO for your website? So if you click on their prints, and I actually wouldn't, if anyone wants to know why I wouldn't, I did it once, and I'll tell you why in the break. But, because I like FASO, they're a great website. And you can have that on your website so people can just click and order a print. So Pictrum is the company they're using. So it is a good company, FASO is using it. So anyhow, I do promote it for doing it for yourself. Governor's Art Show, got the link there if you want to go out and look at all the other artists and the artwork that's on. Pastels, I'm using, of course, the rock set that I curated. So I'm going to pass this around if people haven't seen this. It's, I found it really fun to curate a set, first of all. And the reason I did it was because of my students, because they were asking to paint rocks, and I thought, well, I'd like to just pick some colors out. So I started looking at all these artists that I mentioned in here. Skip Whitcomb, and I've got some photos of his, and Albert Handel, and Singer Sargent. And I started looking at all those, and I started pulling colors out one night. 6 hours later, like 2 a.m., I'm like, wow. So I knew it was a lot of work to curate a set, but you really respect these artists who have curated some of these big sets for these manufacturers, because boy, to pick those colors out, it's something. I mean, I ended up with, I got it down to like 30 something, and I knew I wanted to get it down small. So my students wanted to just pick certain colors out, and then just for painting, it's kind of nice to start with a small palette. So that's how I did it, went back and forth, and then I was out at Ludwig's, and they were seeing what I was doing, and they just said, oh, what do you got? And I said, it's kind of a rock set. And they were so nice, they went, want to come back next Wednesday, and we'll do this. I said, really? I was happy. So Suzanne out there that does a lot of their marketing, she and I sat and we switched out 2 of the colors that I had in there. And then I still have, it's so hard, I still have 4 others that I really like. So Annie, I'm gonna pass this around. This is one of the new ones. If you went out there and purchased, they always take 20% off. That's not a PSC discount. That's just, they do 20% off. So this would have been $97 plus tax. It's around $100. So I'm just going to pass that around, promote it with Ludwig's because they're such sweethearts. And this is the painting. That's the first of the one I did when they said, we want to promote this. Then they said, this was on a Wednesday. They said, we'll promote it, but send us a picture of a painting that you painted with it. So I hadn't painted anything with it. So I was like, okay. So I'm a slow painter. I painted that in 3.5 days. And that was like totally until like 2 in the morning, blah, blah, blah. I kept painting it. So that was amazing. This is on black UArt, which I found really fun to do rocks on. It shows through. You see those little fissures with the black. You'll see if you went close, there's a little black line right on the edge on the top when we talk about edges. So black is, I really like black. It's like one of my favorites to paint on. It kind of makes it simpler. It's like you're starting and throw stuff on. So that one has iridescent on it. It doesn't show much on this one. This one shows a little more. But these iridescents are, Ludwig's has maybe about 18 Ludwigs, or past iridescents now, maybe. But they've got a turquoise, I picked that one up. Oof. So these are fun, and I'm kind of an iridescent whore. So I have at home, people go, do you have any more iridescents? I've got a box that's about this long, thin, and it's got, I think, just about every brand of iridescents. I have another one that's about this big, that's Henri Rocher iridescents. And those are like, oh my goodness, they're just beautiful colors. So I've had fun kind of working with these. So on the iridescents, on this one, I used it on some of the rock because they had that nice dark, it's actually an eggplant iridescent. So I used that. Some of them, they have a nice gray that's really gorgeous, so I used that. So the original has just a tinge. This one, the only place that you put iridescent was on the waterfall. On this, I took acrylic paint that's iridescent. And so if you get close to this, you'll see I painted right here on the canvas print. So they call that an embellished print. Ooh, it's worth more now because I painted on it. So that was fun. So anyhow, the iridescents I tend to use, not on every painting, but almost. I had, even if I do like a floral, I'll do like a little touch. Just always just some iridescent somewhere. So I'm going to be using the rock set. And then I've got, I won't be using all these, but this is when I painted this painting, which is behind here that I'm going to work on. When I painted that one, this was all the colors that I used. So I go a little overboard sometimes with even just picking out one color for a little, but then I do try to repeat colors whenever I can because it kind of coordinates the whole painting, right? You all know that. All right, so the pastels, Ludwigs. The others, I think some of the other iridescents I have in here, I've got Sennelier, I've got Townsend, and then I love Giraud for when you talk about edges. Giraud's are so nice for that little detail that you might need like on a rock in a fissure. And, I don't know if I mentioned it here or further down, this new pastel is the bottle green, it's number 298. You can't buy these separate anymore, but this was a trick from Albert Handel, and I'll do this in a second, but you can create little fissures with that color on rocks, and it's just perfect. But you could do it with a black, you could do it with other dark colors of a new pastel, and you can do it with a Giraud as well, but those guys were super nice. The other pastels I love are soft rolled Richardson, they're inexpensive. You get a lot of deals on Judson's art for that. They got a lot of their art sets on there that are not too expensive. And then they've got, I also adore Blue Earth. A lot of people think those are super, super soft. Well, they are, but I just love that texture of those. It's just butter. So I've got quite a few Blue Earths at home. So that's basically the pastels I use. Substrate. This was interesting. The demo that you'll see here in a second is a gesso board, so a board that already has gesso on it. And then, so this is, I didn't see the Tom Christopher, is that a paint-along? Mm-hmm. I didn't see it, but I think did he describe that substrate?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so he does this substrate where he starts with the foam core, then he puts the gesso on it, and then he might put some latex house paint, other stuff. And he uses this same pumice gel, and that's where I got the idea from. So I tried that, and so I bought the gesso board that's already gessoed, and then I put a little bit of acrylic paint as kind of a texture on the waterfall. And then I didn't do any acrylic other painting. He does some of those tonal things that he'll do on some of his. And then you put this gesso that I mentioned. You put that pumice on there, and I just put one layer. I felt like that was enough on it for the texture. I don't recommend this. So he loves it. He does great work on it. Yay. That is way too much work for me to spend on getting the substrate ready. It's like, I don't want to spend time on that. about the most time I'm gonna do on something. It's like, well, what Bruce does, he does his type of paper. You're doing one kind of thing on it and you're done. You're not doing layers and layers of other stuff to get this substrate ready. The other one I'll do is get hardboard and just layer on with a brayer just some of the golden pumice that they have, ampersand. They have that at Guy Reeves, you can order it online. It's Art Spectrum pumice, I think is what they call it. Or you could do this gesso pumice, you could put that on. And you can do it thicker if you want, you can do parts of it thicker. If you want to spend time with that kind of thing, but this whole thing, no, it was way too much time. So, and I'm not even sure how it's gonna grip. I've played with it a little bit, it seemed pretty good. But I know what UART 400 does, or 600 does. I know it, I have a guarantee of how many layers I can put on some of these other substrates. I don't know what I can do on that stuff, so it's kind of like not worth my risk, and I've done that before where I start putting and it just starts falling off. I'm like, oh, yeah. This is Pastel Premier. Love Pastel Premier. That is a nice, this is one that Natasha Eisenhower, I think she uses it almost all the time on hers. But come feel, you can feel this, I don't care how much, put your fingers on this. This is a nice, nice paper and takes quite a few layers. It comes in nice colors too.
Did that come on the board or?
No, I thank you for asking that. I mount everything and I do it on, what's it called? I get it off Blick. And it's not the Crescent brand, because they charge too much, but there is just a foam core that has adhesive. Pull this whole sheet off, it's got adhesive on it already. You cut it.
Something,
What?
perfect something,
Something like that, yeah,
Yeah.
some
yeah.
quick stick, something like that. About
I have some.
$18 a sheet, was that it last time? Something like that, 17, 18 for a, sheet's larger than that, 32 by 40 sheet. So not terribly expensive. You can just cut it to size, take the stuff off, put it right on. So I do that with all of my papers that don't come with mounting. Inexpensive, it works, it's, I don't know how archival it is. Pastel Grain is a new one out by Claire Fontaine, and it's on Dakota. And that's what I did the original of this one on, in a nice charcoal color. And I have to tell you, I liked that paper. I'll keep trying that a little bit and see if I prefer it. But I tend to do UART, Lux. I love Lux. I wish it came in more colors. The Premier. And then I also use velour a little bit. And then I do love suede. And suede is just suede mat board. And anybody's interested in that, let me know. But I love suede that I learned from Virginia on Silk. So that's substrate questions. Questions on substrates?
Yeah, I'm just telling you, it's quick stick, self-adhesive foam board.
Thank you. From Dick Blick.
Start lowest is $16.99 up to $333.99, probably a multi-pack.
Da-da.
I don't know.
Yeah, if anyone's interested in any of those things, they can just email me and I'll send you a
Quick
link.
stick,
On the
self-adhesive.
top right.
But I do like that stuff. It's inexpensive and it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions on materials? All right, strategy. I am so into, because too often you come in, people start painting and they go, they want to critique on their work, and I just go, well, first of all, show me the photo. Well, I wouldn't have painted that. It's not a good photo. It doesn't have a good focal point, it doesn't have good values, it's, ugh. So, I don't know why. So spend time on your reference photos. And even if you're out doing plein air, move your camera around, take a lot of pictures, and don't just sit there and go, I think I'll just paint that. No. And again, if you have questions on some of these technical things on the iPhones, you can email me, but iPhone, I always have a grid on it. You can have that grid just set up on your phone so you pick up right now. If I took a picture of you right now on my phone, there's a grid on it already. So you have the grid so you can know where those focal points are. And then take at least 4 pictures. So with that focal point, and that's that little trick of knowing where to put that. And just take plenty of photos. Then you come in and you can photo edit just either right on your phone or your iPad. You don't need Photoshop elements, nice if you have it. But you can just crop, you can change the values. Look at it in mono, because mono is the real values. Noir, if you do that one, that's more black and white. You don't want to use that one. You want to use noir to see how it looks. So, first of all, this is the original photo for the rock. And when you come up here too, you can go like this and just scroll through here if you want to see these during the break. But that one you can see what I did with this. And so this photo, pretty much I had the tree, I kind of raised it up a little. I raised this whole thing up a little bit and just had a little more rocks and then delineated the rocks, but kind of the values were there on what I wanted to see. That one, when I got all done, I think I mentioned, I'll jump back and forth on here, I'm sure. Procreate is the next thing I'm mentioning here, but I'll jump back up to the photo stuff. How many people know what Procreate is? That's good. It's only $12.99 application. It is a great little app to have. I use it for looking at my photos. So I took a picture of that photo and decided, is that the blue I want? I'm not sure. And then when I finished the paint, or almost was finished with the painting, I painted the sky in last. So I took a photo of the painting, put it on Procreate, and then played with the blues. Do I want turquoise? Ooh, I didn't. I really thought I was going to go kind of turquoise. No, didn't like it. So I tried a different color and another color, and I went, no, I hit the blue that I wanted. Instead of screwing around on your painting, it's taking it off and stuff, you can use Procreate on the photo or your painting and play with it. You can bring in that image, and then you can decide to cut stuff out. So actually this original, so this, and I always look at all my photos in that the mono. So this is the original photo for that waterfall. And I wanted more highlight over here. And this was too much, all this shrubbery at the top was too much. So then, when I did a photo, I took that photo, put it in Procreate, and I took and put blue sky, cut the trees out, changed the blue a little bit, added highlight on the falls, added a little highlight here, and then what I really liked with this photo is the way that I moved from the highlight all the way over, which is how I think the painting did too. You highlight, and then it comes over and hits it. But then I cut through, you can tell what I did for the final, is I just cut through some of that and added some blue sky to it. So it's just a fun tool to use. So anyhow, back to your photos. Also experiment with enhancing colors. So, and I do this a lot on Photoshop, because you can enhance separate colors, just the greens, just the blues separately. But even on your iPhone, you can go into all those options they have for highlighting, for enhancing color. Go ahead and play with some of that, because you might go, maybe you're fine with the original and you want to use your own head for enhancing colors and picking whatever colors you want. Or maybe it'll help you think of something a little different. So go ahead and use that and to enhance the photos. So anyhow, use the photos, use Procreate. Substrate, don't just grab some substrate. Really look at what you're gonna paint, and will this be better with underpainting? Will it be better with black? Will it be better with a nice clay color, charcoal color? So try to pick something that's, again, gonna help you paint, because it'll make your painting easier and quicker. So I go with that. Underpainting, how many people have done underpainting? Yep. So underpainting is a great tool. Not you have to do it all the time. So, but underpainting can be really an enjoyable and easier tool to use to help you. I just finished a commission that was the aspen trees, and then the bottom was just all this greenery, and then had some columbine in it. So as I wanted to do the aspens first, because I didn't want that white dropping down into the green. So got those aspens done, didn't do the sky yet. And then I was looking at this whole, it was on Lux. All that bottom section was just that light cream color, which, ooh, I didn't want that showing through any of that greenery. So I looked at that and went, I think maybe a nice, you know, dark burgundy color somewhere in here. Do you like my shirt? It's kind of the rock edges. So I used a burgundy, and I kind of tend to move towards using pastels as my substrate and then using alcohol on it, because then you're 100% pastel, you don't have any issues. But I've used acrylic ink, I've used watercolor, I've used oil, blah, blah, blah. But then I took that nice burgundy, dark nice burgundy, put that in the whole bottom section, put that in, kind of left spaces, white spaces where the columbine were gonna be, and then just used alcohol. That color showing through all that green, and it made easier work. Nothing you have to like fill in those white spots, you know. No, the burgundy looked great. So pick those colors well when you're doing underpainting. And it doesn't have to be all one color, it can be whatever. Sequence, I've got that, that's asked a lot by my students, like, what did you paint first and why? Why are you doing da-da-da-da-da? So I tend to work from the background out, but not always. In this case, no, I jumped all over on those rocks. I didn't do the sky, I did the darks first, and then I did the next color. So I just, whatever color I had in my hand, starting darks, dark, 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 dark. Next one, dark, dark, dark. I wished I had taken pictures of that one as I did it, because that would have been a fun one for people to see how it layered up as it got painted. But that was definitely very layer, 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 layer. This one, about the same. I did that whole background, the sky and the greenery first. Then I kind of just did a light bit of greenery down here and didn't finish it just so I knew where it was and I didn't screw up and put rocks where the green stuff is. Even on my demo, I put little G's. So I'm like, gotta remember where the green stuff is.
Is that like a paint by number, the G?
Little paint by number. Which green is it? Oh, it's blue green, it's number 46, whatever. Color palette. I am not quite into always picking a specific palette, a triad, a complementary. I play so much with my colors prior that I pretty much have picked out my palette in my head just by what I've been playing around with and what looks good. If you see this original, and then you look at this guy, you can tell how much color change I did. So I did a lot more like the lichen green color, put that in there because I just like that color on rocks. So I changed up a little bit, a little more of a, I don't know, a little more of a pinky tone to this. But I just wanted that kind of combination of colors. And it's kind of like that light green and pink. Yeah, it's complementary, but it kind of just occurs for me more than a real tool of picking out the specific palettes. But I do like to see those colors out, and that's where that rock set helps. I know the rock set's gonna look good. So I try to kind of start setting up my main colors at least. So I know I don't have some lime green in there that's gonna look awful. And again, if you start putting some color down and you start creating mud, stop. Get your eraser out, get your brush out, and get rid of stuff, okay? Take photos as you progress and do a self-critique as you progress. Take photos, turn them into black and white. How are the values? How's it working? Here's one of my really odd tricks. When you start getting about 2/3 done, start turning the lights down. Start dimming your lights, step back. Do the values still show? Do they show when the room's almost dark?
You'll need dimmer switches.
Yeah, get dimmer switches for your studio. But it's amazing, and that was just an accident one time. I was leaving a room and going, that looks, wow, my values are, oh, that's a good little thing. Yeah, So they still should show. You should have enough brights in there, enough lights, enough darks, that even in a darker room, that painting still looks good. If it doesn't, you probably got a flat painting. And then see values that are too similar, your whole painting starts to just look flat. So let's get into some, I'm gonna talk edges. This is stuff for you to read more than me to talk about. But edges, people forget about them. And they'll either start doing too much soft edges. And again, really varies on style. You got a lot of artists that might do very soft, maybe their whole painting's soft. It's their style. It looks good, yum, yum, yum. Not my style. But you'll see a difference here in these two paintings. If you notice, much sharper edges on that one. This one got a little softer, okay? Got a little more lost edges in here. And if you don't know these things, just read through this. It's pretty self-explanatory. But the lost edges, you see that in a lot of the old portraits that have the real dark, and you don't even see the side of the head. But you know it's there, but it's just, there's no edge. It's just gone. I love lost edges, because it's just kind of, okay, you see things, but it's usually the two values are so close, there's hardly an edge. And your edges, you all should know this, they're not necessarily painted by creating an edge. That color that comes up next to you creates an edge too. So whatever you're doing with your colors next to them, whether it's a light color, light value next to a dark, creates an edge. It's just there. So if you want to accentuate the edges, where should typically in a painting your sharper edges are where? Yep. Softer as you're going back because it's just getting diffused and it's way back there. So try to avoid putting, I see that every once in a while, somebody puts sharp edges and it's like a mile away and they got sharp edges down here. Now that makes you look too much back in the background and not in the foreground. Okay, so let's play here. And I typically wear gloves, not always, I try to think about it. And all my students know that I do this. I cut the little baby finger, I cut my finger off. And that's when I do some blending, some finger blending, just depends on, you know, what it is. But that's what I blend with. But I do Bruce stuff, and I learned that from him way back when. When I go, oh no, like that sky, oh no, that was my whole side of my paw. I'll come in and there's sometimes, especially students, they'll be, let me look at your painting. Let me try this. Yeah, right here. Right there. Yep, and right here. It's so nice. And it gives you a nice smooth, it works. Instead of going like this all the way through a big area. And especially for me working big, yeah, to go like this and try to do this, yeah, no. And it's a great way too if your painting's just not working. You create a really nice underpainting that way. So, how many people have square pastels? How many people don't? Buy some square pastels. But that's, yay, guys. The reason, this is actually, if I only had one type to use, I would probably have square. They said you can't have one or you can't have both. I would probably do squares. But again, that's me. But what I like,
Why?
I'll explain.
Understand.
I'll explain.
Okay.
So, I like them because it's almost like having all these brush sizes. You know, this is a little 1/2-inch brush. This is an 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. You know, and then this is a little edge. It's got like so many things all in one thing. You can get almost the same thing with a round, but you can't get quite that sharp edge with it. But, and I'll try this on this one. So if I was to do
you cut your Ludwigs in half?
No, never. No, never cut, never break the Ludwigs. It's just such again, I wouldn't have that size brush. I want that variety on there. The only time I cut them in half is I bought a little one of those mini Hillman boxes. And so I have those broken up in that little mini. But no, I'd rather use that size. If you needed a smaller square, then you could use Blue Earth. They're about that tall. Yeah, a little smaller. But, and not that I don't have, I have plenty of rounds that I use all the time. But I'm saying my preference is I probably use squares more often. But in this box, it's probably a third round in there. So I still use plenty of them. But this is what I like, this is what you can come up here and play with, is if you're doing some rock, and I would typically go dark to medium to light. But if I'm coming up on the top here, I can come like this and do this straight down. I can come in here and get these edges and then straight down. You can get, like, especially rocks. But you got rocks in a stream bed, they're all rounded off. Would I use these there? No. I would use rounded ones. They're just smoother, easier to create that look. But for these, so let's say this was a little more rounded type rock. Do I have any rounds in here? Okay, I'm gonna use some brighter colors in here. But if this was more of a rounded rock, you know, it's almost the same effect. You're coming through here, this gut head doesn't have a smooth side to it. But you can get, you know, points to it, you can get the edge, but it's nothing like that for coming down and getting that, the streaks that I get with those squares, I like a lot better, again, for rocks. Trees, I go back and forth, squares, rounds. For somebody that foreground, grasses, you know, it's a variety. I'm saying my preference is squares, just for the way that I paint. So, for these rocks, like I said, I would tend to start with dark areas first. What did I say on this one? Let's say I'm doing this rock right here, and I'll do this on this demo too. But I would get in here and I could get these darks and not fill it in all the way. Because then you can come back and you can get these other colors going. Yeah. Go with another dark. And this is where you can go lighter, a little darker, and start creating these other tones to it. Because the whole thing is, you've all heard the whole saying about people creating potatoes. Yes. When they're doing rocks. I think using squares on rocks, it's a less of a chance of creating those potatoes. You start doing this kind of mark making, and this is a great way to practice. Practice your mark making all the time. You know, you're creating trees, you know, do some mark making and play with it. So you get used to moving these pastels around and not just noodling, right? I see this too much. Students are using the little edge and they're just doing, you know, get used to using the whole thing, but have a piece of paper out with a bunch of pastels. That is a great exercise all the time. Just mark making. Think about, you're doing a tree, you're doing a rock, you're doing a lake. Don't do a lake like that. This is rough water. So doing these kind of just strokes on these things, you can start adding some really fun layered colors. See how nice? Ooh. Oh, nice color. Look at this. Very light touch. Look at that. This is optically blending, right? You're just adding enough tone on top, so now you've got about 3 or 4 different colors in there that weren't in your palette, that you just mixed. And that's the fun thing about pastels, is you can mix and have a good time. By the way, I just did a fun class with my students that was using, Lorenzo curated a set for Ludwig's called Color Wheel. It's 14 pastels, and it's primary, secondary, black and white, and tertiary. It's a lovely set. And it's got, so it's got pure, good, solid red, you know, your real primaries, the yellows, true. And it's a great set for anybody to use to then go, you know, put this color down and now try to create that from that 14-piece set. You can do it. You can take those 14 and you can create any color. You really, trust me, you can. Not easy sometimes, but that's another great exercise. And I think a lot of my students are gonna go buy the set, because it's fun. It's fun having that set and then being able to just play with those colors and learn how to create your own. You could take that set out and just do plein air painting with it. And it looks super bright, right? But no, you dull it down with the black and the white, which I have to admit, I think that's the only black pastel I have, and that is that set. Because I don't do blacks that often. I use dark green, dark purple, other darks. But when you have a set like that, so you do, put a little black in there. It doesn't look black, it looks like a dark purple, it looks like a dark green. So I do, it's a nice set. So can you see how fun that is? To create a rock with that much layering and playing around, and all of a sudden you get this kind of stuff going on. You know, with all these multiple colors, and again, I have a light touch. It looks like I'm kind of stroking hard, but it's a fairly light touch that I'm doing with it.
Can you see the dinosaur head?
What?
Can you see the dinosaur head?
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. No, it's funny, I had a whole painting done one time, I thought it was done. And my neighbor came over and she goes, what did she say the one thing was? Praying mantis. She goes, here's my big painting, all done, you know, I'm getting ready to have it framed. And she goes, did you mean to have a praying mantis in the bottom corner? And then, of course, what did I see? All I saw was praying mantis. It's like, oh, fuck, whoops, I was gonna Bleep. Alexis is laughing, so I was gonna try really hard, not one F word. Did it, I owe you $1.
$5 to the Friends of PSC.
Yeah, right, donate for that, I'll do that. So, but that was so, I didn't see it. I didn't see that thing, and it literally looked like the head of a praying mantis.
Oh.
So, thank God it wasn't framed yet, so I was like, okay, and all it was like a bud. It was just a bud from this plant, but, okay, so I killed the praying mantis.
Do you want to take a break?
Actually, that's not a bad, we can take a break, because then I'd want you guys, have I done enough strokes up here? You want to come up and play on here a little bit? So you guys want to come up and, I'm going to try to start with some of these darks first. So now they you know, these microphones, by the way, well, let me talk later about microphones. So, again, on these rocks, I tend to go dark. Come on, guys. Hey, get your food. Come on.
Whistle for them.
I can't whistle very much anymore. So I tend to get all these darks in first. So when I'm coming in here, and again, I tend to never do a solid anything. I want to have other colors on top of colors. So I will always use little gaps on anything that I'm putting in here. So not till I come back to it later do I maybe throw something else in. Ooh, the microphone way up here works. So you can see, throw in some dark here. And then I might go a little lighter when I have some area that just needs a little something. So underneath this waterfall, I tend to just a little heavier and then a little lighter, because I'm gonna be putting those iridescents over that. I don't want that to be too muddy and not for those to show up well. So I do this little lighter color underneath here. La la la, see how much light, look at this. Just this light area underneath that waterfall. Now here's where I'm gonna really complain about that substrate. That's just falling off. There's pastel just, it is not holding on to that strongly.
And which one is the, oh, that's when you
that.
painted the,
Yeah, I put that gesso on there, yeah. So, this is sad when people have left, when I didn't even get painting. Maybe I should have explained that there's a painting under there. So, let me get, yeah, excuse me, yeah, it's just going,
wow.
uh-huh, very, this is where I get lost. I'm like, okay, on this rock, this rock. So I try to see wherever I've got these darker tones that I can get in first. Because you can come back in here, if you need it to have it darker, then come back later and get that dark color in. But at least lay it down about where you think you're gonna want it.
So Ivadell, I have a question. So you said that pastel is falling off that gesso board that you used. And so if you were at home in your studio, would you spray it with a workable fix to kind of stop that, give it some more ground, something
Not
to
a bad
grab
idea.
onto?
That's not a bad idea. And I don't like fixative.
No, I know you
That's
don't.
not a bad idea, because it would just at least give it something to grab onto.
Mhm.
Yeah, because right now that's weird.
Yeah.
It could be maybe, since I haven't used that often, maybe it should have been 2 layers of the pumice.
Oh,
Oh, I don't know. I don't think he does 2 layers of pumice, does he, Karen?
No,
Yeah.
he does multiple layers of other base nails or dabs at it with a cloth
Yeah.
to push it in.
Let me finally, yeah. So, no, but yeah, that'd be a good idea, because this is like, and not that it's not gonna stick, you know, at the end, all these layers and stuff, but, just, I don't like, look at that.
yeah, look at it, it's a waterfall.
It's like, ew, okay, this is weird. So now I love this on, the dark green that's in the set, because you get that mossy stuff that's underneath, especially in wet areas on rocks. And it's a nice color to have. You can see that green that I've got over there in it.
Trying to remember.
And I like working, like having like at least 2 or 3 colors in your hand at one time. And then you can kind of like just bounce back and forth.
I never used that.
Okay, right away it's like,
This wasn't.
that's kind of fun. Doot-de-doot-de-doot. Did I get enough darks in here?
Well,
This is where you hear about people squinting. That's a good idea. then I'll go a little bit lighter when I know I'm gonna add some other colors over it. All right, I'm gonna kind of stick over here right now. Although right here, we'll throw some of this green. This is Betty Ford Garden up in Vale. How many people have been there? You go there, it's the nicest garden. It's fairly decent size. It's, the landscape architects did a beautiful job of creating all these fun little areas.
What's it called?
Betty Ford Garden,
Oh, okay.
it's on this side of Vale. And you can, good amount of parking, parking's not hard. And you just walk down, there's a kind of a big, long area that you can walk down into the garden. But, beautiful, beautiful spot.
Both of those paintings are from there?
No, this was at, where was that one, Alexis? See if she's paying attention. That was the Golden Gate. Yeah, that was that height. Golden Gate Park up by, that's Golden. That's a great place in the fall.
The video is all your back. Should we move the camera maybe?
If anyone asks me a question way back there, I will not be able to hear you.
We can't see you in the video, it's just your back.
Should we move the camera is the question.
Cause we're just
Camera.
getting her back.
They're saying that we can't see it in the video or something.
Right,
Okay,
it's
thank
just
you.
your back.
Repeat questions to me.
I can see it.
Can you
Oh.
move the camera over there, I think is the question.
It's gonna be a problem no matter where we go
I
with
know.
it, to be honest.
I know. It wasn't my question.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. I just heard them.
You just started your piece. Correct.
we were, that's the
I know,
best we can.
I know.
Okay, Ivadell, could you walk away from the picture for a second? Thanks.
So this is what gets you kind of coordinating your painting, you know, repeat colors. Don't sit there and work diligently on one thing so hard that you forget where you are on everything else. But see here where I'm just combining colors? Instead of, again, having something just boring. And see, the Falls has a darker area right in the middle, right here. So I'm gonna go a little darker there. And I will, is that clock right? We just have like a half hour?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna speed this double time.
Yeah, paint double.
Paint away.
Now see, I was throwing in 3 other colors. You know, just to go, okay, I wanna start throwing in some of this stuff and over here.
Yeah.
This again, where I'm using that side of this pastel, these Ludwigs, to get this kind of, and again, movement, you know, watch where your movement is in your photo reference on the subject. You know, is the tree this kind of stroke? Is the rock this kind of stroke? Where are the strokes? And kind of follow that. Follow the yellow brick road.
Ivadell, could you say that again? So you're following the grain of the rock? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, let's see that.
Mm-hmm.
So following where that grain is, rather than, filling it in. That's the same thing with these, not getting these potatoes. You know, don't sit there and try to fill in a tan spot or whatever. Try to go with strokes, so you can get some of this fun stuff going on. One thing that's interesting, I don't know if it's just my style, I don't go, if I'm doing a tree, I might be painting like that. But on these rocks, you won't find me going upstroke. It's almost all downstroke on all the rocks. You know, rather than going scribble, scribble, you'll find me just following whatever this path is. Okay, enough of that color. Enough of that. Then again, see how nice those colors?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of optical blending.
Christine, I'm not getting good pictures for the newsletter.
Are you?
Now here I can feel I put an extra texture on here just for the waterfall. It feels really weird. I kind of like it, but it's a little strange. I took acrylic paint, you see these lines that are showing up? So I took acrylic paint and just went with a brush and just kind of thick. Not overly thick, just little bits of lines. So that's what you're seeing here. It's kind of working. So I don't mind it.
So when did you do that?
What?
When did you put the acrylic on there?
When I was doing the whole substrate, so it's probably gesso board, acrylic, and then the pumice. Pumice is the last thing you put over the whole thing. Good question. Now this is where I'm pressing a little harder, again to get this edge in. When I'm home, I'm usually playing things like Kevmo, John Batiste, Paul Simon, just about anything. Bruce Springsteen. My students like jazz. All right, that's kind of fun. Okay, next lighter one. That's not quite light enough. I'm gonna skip that guy. That's a nice, this is a nice color. It's kind of a slight, I don't know what you call it, beige purple. Yeah, nice medium to dark value. I am gonna jump now to, well, let me get a little bit more of this in. way too much texture up there. See, this is where I just like, okay, do I like texture? And it really eats your pastels. So you gotta be careful with that too.
Yeah.
One of my favorite colors is it's like that, what do you call that, purple gray? Yeah, almost mauve, but just slightly more purple. But yeah, close to mauve. But such a fun color. Look at that nice little
Yeah.
value. See all this layering? You can just keep layering stuff. And you get, look at that optical blending of colors. All right. So on my signature, I have a little puzzle piece next to my signature. Well, these aren't signed. It's a little puzzle piece. I've had students ask, what is that? I said, well, I think painting is like putting a puzzle together. You know, you're doing this piece, this piece, this piece, and all of a sudden it all kind of comes together. Isn't that right?
You're lucky it comes together.
Yeah.
Or accomplished yourself. Right.
All right, now for some fun and giggles. If you look at some of the Skip Whitcomb and Singer Sargent, if you look at their work on rocks, especially Skip, uses a lot of really nice, almost like a subdued turquoise, a grayed turquoise. Uses that a lot, and some of these other, just kind of blue-green and nice, again, subdued tones. Those are all in the rock set. Those are so just yummy. And again, God, they go together. And then this one is for some of these lighter greens. So like right now, if I come down and get that green in there, you see that? It's kind of a fun, ooh. But then, if I want to lighten that a little bit more, then you get into, and this is more of that color. And this now, when I start adding these other colors on top, now I start to press a little harder. It starts to get now this guy did a little browner than I did over on that one. Then you can start to throw this. See what an interesting color that is to throw into these rocks? You know, whether you see it there or not, it's fun. And then now look how nice that color goes to darken up some of these areas.
Which color are you using?
This is in the rock set,
No, what, I can't see it. Is it green?
the green blue, kind of, a little more grayish than some. It's in your shirt. It's exactly in your shirt. So, again, try to do this optical blending, you know, here and there, to just get these other colors going. that may or may not make sense. Then, this is this brighter tone. And again, this is one that I saw in the Singer Sargent paintings. He did a lot of this, and the same with Skip Whitcomb. So now let's say I'm semi-finishing up. Semi-finishing up. That's when I start to go for. By the way, for cleaning, one of my students got me into using the little microfiber rather than just paper towel. They're kind of easy, cheap, buy them, wash them. They clean up pretty well. So now, I'm coming in here for some highlights. Getting too much texture over there too, I do not like that at all. But pretty color. Pretty color. I should have left a little more white space over here. We'll pretend there's a rock up there. Then, if you really need to get some highlights in, that's when you're coming back and look how fun those optical blending is. See if this color works there. Now, if I was home, that just got muddy. This is a, pronounce it H-A-K-E, Hake brush. Found this from
Is it Lucky?
Alan Picard.
Hake.
Hake. It's you can get it online. It's a nice, real. Can you see this? It's very soft, soft. If you wanted to either get stuff off, and I would lean this forward, right? And look, I can get that whole thing off right there. Also, if you felt like you needed to soften an edge someplace, you could take this and just take the edge, and you could soften an edge with it. So it's kind of a fun tool for that. But anyhow, I would come back and redo that section, because that, you see that muddy stuff going on, that's when you start seeing, and people think, oh, I know I'm mixing colors. No. If it starts looking clayey, that's what I think's the clue. It's kind of a clayey look. I gotta say that, clayey look, because it's just like too much, and it gets a muddy look to it. don't keep painting. Stop. That means you got too many colors on top of each other. It's overlayered and it's muddy. So don't keep painting. Stop, brush it off, erase it, whatever you need to do, and then come back. So I would come back to hit that differently. Because it's interesting on how much pastel you've got laid down and whether it'll take it. Like this works out so nicely over here. It's like, look at this. Just nice optically blending, got the highlights in there, but you get these multiple colors going on without any muddy crap going on. So I'm gonna jump to the waterfall. We'll pretend it's more than. What's it say?
Don't jump.
There used to be a waterfall in Minneapolis, it's still there, Minnehaha Falls. So this is too thick, my pastel will not even go on there. Jeez Louise. So I'm gonna go to the, I'm using a corner of it right now, just to get some color. Minnehaha Falls goes into the Mississippi River. Dad would take us over there hiking, and because it was fun back in the day, you could walk behind the falls. And then they ended up closing it down. So now we're gonna have fun with the iridescent stuff.
Where's this place?
That's what?
Where is this?
Where's- Where's
Minnehaha.
what?
This particular scene, where?
Betty Ford Garden,
Oh.
I'm from Vail, right?
yeah, in Vail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, this is a sweet, that whole place. Only thing what happened one time there, Dave?
Hornets attacked you.
I got attacked. I mean, major. I had like, what, 3 or 4 bites?
Wow.
And it was on our way, wasn't it on our way to Grand Junction?
Yeah, or to drop off paintings in Edwards. or
Oh, I
something.
think that was it, yeah. And so then the girl comes out, she didn't have anything, she goes, Dave's so smart. He goes, well, do you have some like Windex or something? Because there's alcohol in it.
Yeah, ammonia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's like spraying my leg. Like, it felt better, you know. It was my attack. And they, oh my God, they attacked me.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's from the movie.
That was like, oh my God, it was like, so you get enough color behind that, but you don't paint it all in, just so that you can then come over this. By the way, on this painting, there were iridescents and most of like darker areas, because they had this really nice charcoal iridescent color. So that was lovely on those. And then they had, I think it was the purple, the eggplant iridescent is in here on the original. So they were fun. And on this, I'm gonna throw in, here's my other set. So, somebody up here, we're just talking about these Diane Townsend. Diane Townsend has, how many people have Diane Townsend pastels? It's quite a grit to them, you know, and sometimes they just crumble, you know, but their iridescent set does have like this purpley gray, this really nice green. So they're nice colors, but oh, you gotta be careful because they'll just, Sennelier, nice blue skinny one, they fragile. This is, I always forget, Mount Vision. Mount Vision's got a whole set of pastels. Those are pretty sturdy. Look at that, I have a label. Oh my God.
They're huge.
Oh, yeah, they are gigantic. So anyhow, some of these can be pretty fun. So we'll see what happens with this texture here. Again, I'm gonna do some darker colors. Wait on the bright ones at that top little piece here. So come in here. Oh, it's going down pretty good. So right now I'm thinking waterfall. Trickle, 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 trickle. Trickle, trickle.
You have poetry with this one?
So that Ivadell name was, my grandmother was a poet, and there was some poet named Ivadell. Ooh, that's a nice darker shade in here. And then I'm going like a thicker on the top where the water's coming down, and then just doing some streaks. Where'd that brighter color go? This. Let's try these guys. So this at this very top. And at home, what I did was a lot of dots, which I can't really do here on how this turned out. I would probably, with this crappy substrate, look at this, I would blend this under stuff in, and then come over this, because then I could probably add some of those dots, dot of the spray in there without being quite on top of all that. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Let's see if this guy will brighten them up at all. Not very much. And if you got up here close, you'd see how heavy this is getting, which is a little insane. A little insane. Okay, at least that's a little brighter. If you do this kind of, yeah, we're done almost. So you would do these little to get this nice little spray going on that you see in here. And probably as one of our last ones. Let's see if we can get this little fun. Nah, and I don't like that color on there. So that got too many other colors underneath there that it's like too grayed out.
Carry on.
Okay, that's all we're doing. So it gives you an idea anyhow, how to do rocks, how to get more strokes, more optical blending. So I hope that kind of helped.
Thank you.